everybody, and welcome back. My name is Sandra and I am the Arthritic Artisan. So which craft are we going to be doing today? Today we are going to be making 3 simple wreaths with 3 different wreath forms that you can find at the Dollar Tree. If you're ready, I'm ready. Let's get started. We're going to start by using one of the foam wreaths from Dollar Tree and some nautical rope. So just get those labels off, and we're going to add some hot glue to the inside center of that foam wreath, and we're going to start wrapping that nautical rope around. We're going to take 2 bundles of the nautical rope from Dollar Tree and wrap it in one direction. Then we're going to start with the next 2 packages of nautical rope from the Dollar Tree and wrap it in the opposite direction. And the reason that we're going to do this is because you'll notice as you're wrapping the rope, it's going to start wrapping at an angle. Once you've reached a point where you cannot wrap that rope around anymore, we're going to fill in that gap by taking the rope and gluing it down and then bending it in half and bringing it back the opposite direction. I'm hoping I'm explaining this okay. Kind of like I'm showing you in the picture. We're just going to fill in that V-shaped opening that's on that wreath form. Just use a lot of glue and be patient. I'm pinning mine in place just so that it doesn't move until that glue dries while I move on with filling in the rest of that hole. Once you get done filling it in, just trim off the excess, remove your pins, and we're ready to add some flowers. I have some really pretty gardenias here from the Dollar Tree. I'm just gonna cut off a couple picks, shove them right down in that foam, then we're going to pull it out, add a little hot glue, and put it right back in that same hole. We're going to do 2 gardenias on this wreath. Then I have some amaranthus, and we're going to add that to this wreath. We're going to pull off a couple sprigs of that floral and hot glue it right down underneath the gardenia. I'm going to add a little bit of hot glue on top of the wreath just so that I can get the amaranthus to sit where I want it to. Then trim the end of it until it's not super hanging over the edge of the wreath, and just hot glue those in alongside the 2 that you had already put there. We're going to do the same for the top side of the gardenias. Once you get done with that, we're going to cut a 30-inch length of jute rope or twine or anything, and we're just going to make a hanger with this. We're going to tie the ends in a knot and put a little bit of hot glue down in there, and then trim off the excess rope. Wrap it around the top of the wreath. Hot glue it on the back so it never comes undone. And we're going to move on to adding some lamb's ear. I love lamb's ear. Dollar Tree carries it. I got this particular one at Hobby Lobby just because I wanted something with larger leaves. Cut off a couple twigs of that with some leaves on it, tuck it underneath your gardenia, and hot glue that into place. We're going to add some extra greenery here and there, whatever you happen to have on hand. This is just some extra sprigs of greenery, and that is wreath number 1. On to wreath number 2. We're going to be using a wire wreath form and some burlap with lace ribbon from the Dollar Tree. You're going to need 2 rolls of this burlap and lace ribbon. We're going to start at the back of this wreath, and we're going to wrap it coming up towards the front. And every time that you wrap towards the front, you're going to add a bead of hot glue, and you're going to match it up edge to edge. I don't know if I explained that correctly or not either, but when you overlap the ribbon, it's just going to go edge to edge. And you're going to want to make sure that you do the hot glue, because if you try to keep wrapping this without gluing each section into place, you're going to be forever fighting to try to keep it straight. Once we get to the end, we're just going to add a little bit of hot glue to the front, then to the back. Cut off the excess, make a fold so it's a nice clean edge, and hot glue that into place. Next, it's time for the florals, and we're going to make a southern beauty with this one. We're going to use some cotton and some gardenias. I know we used gardenias in the last wreath, but they're just so pretty. cut off a couple sprigs of that cotton. I got this one at Hobby Lobby. They've got really good cotton at Hobby Lobby. It's a little pricey, but it's good. Then we're going to cut off some lamb's ear leaves and just put those in wherever you're feeling like you should. I'm adding some here in the center of the cotton and then just randomly placing a couple leaves here and there. Next we have some lavender sprigs, and I got these from the Dollar Tree. I love how they're white on the bottom and then they go into this nice lavender color. We're going to be using these along with some solid lavender sprigs from the Dollar Tree also. I'm cutting off, I think 6 or 7. I'm just putting them in. Again, it's wherever you feel like it should go. Whatever looks great to you, that's exactly the perfect place for your flowers. And it's got to look good for you because this is going to go in your home. Look how nice that lavender looks with the white coming out. We're going to take one of the heads of gardenias off of the pick and glue that straight down in the center where the cotton meets the lavender. Next, we're going to make a bow. You're going to cut a piece of ribbon 18 inches, overlap the ends, and hot glue them into place. And you're going to find the center of the front of that bow and match it up to the center of the back of the bow where you glued the pieces together. You're going to cut a tail. I think I cut the tail 22 inches long. You're going to lay that tail piece flat against the back of the bow, get some jute twine and tie it together. Then you're going to cut a 3-inch piece of that same ribbon. Fold in the edges and hot glue it into place. We just want the white ribbon part to show. Then you're going to wrap that around the center of the bow, hot glue that into place. Then on the back, you're going to add a generous amount of hot glue and hot glue that down to the top of your wreath. Fluff out your bow, and next we're going to dovetail the ends of your bows. If you don't dovetail the ends of your bows, I'm going to have to come to your house and dovetail your tails for you. And next we're going to add some lamb's ear around the top of the bow. Just pick out some extra scrap pieces if you have them. Glue them down, 3 or 4 on each side. Next, we're going to take a couple more sprigs of that lavender and just hot glue that on the top of the bow also. And I'm going to take one of those white lavenders that gradiates out into purple. And guess what? Add a little bit of greenery and we're done with wreath number 2. Okay, so wreath number 3 is so super simple. We're going to use this bamboo wreath and some of these blueberries. I think they're blueberries, and some of these pretty white, I think they're daffodil flowers, mini daffodils. Get something to clean up your mess because this is fixing to get dirty, y'all. All right, so here I want to see which one goes faster, cutting off the jute or unwrapping the jute. You would think that cutting off the jute would have won out. Actually, unwrapping the jute and saving it, it took less time. So now we've got a lot of jute, and there is actually a lot of jute on this bamboo wreath. We're taking 2 of these bamboo wreaths and we're taking them apart so that we can fluff them out. They are so tightly wound. Just lay one on top of the other, fluff them out, and then we're going to take some of that jute that you saved and loosely wrap it around in 4 different points just so that it doesn't completely fall apart on you. Next, we're going to take a couple of those blueberry sprigs, shove them down inside that bamboo wreath, hot glue them into place, trim them down if necessary. Do you see how I'm layering them end to end? If you want to layer them going in the same direction, that is completely up to you. This is your wreath, so you can do whatever you want to with it. Next, we're going to take some of those white florals, just cut a couple twigs off of that pick, and we're going to shove those also right down in with those blueberries. The wire on this pick is so thin that we can actually take it up through the back, bend it, and feed it back into the bamboo wreath, and that way there's no sharp wire poking out to poke anybody, and nobody's going to get hurt on this. I have to use my pliers here because honestly my hands are not feeling that great today. I have some scrap flower buds sitting here, so I just grabbed a few of them and threw them in just wherever I thought they looked nice. I'm taking those leaves that we took off earlier and putting them where I think that they should go, and you can do the same with yours. Next, we've got some red striped ticking. I cut a length, it was 54 inches long, or the width of the bolt, by 3 inches wide. You're going to need to cut a piece 18 inches long, a piece 22 inches long, a piece 2 inches wide, and then leave the rest for the tail. You're going to split it in the center and then rip it straight down, creating 2 separate pieces. Next, we're going to do this bow just like we did the last one. We're going to meet it up in the middle, and then we're going to actually pin it together because we need to do the same to the shorter piece. Meet it in the middle, find your center, and layer them on top of each other, kind of like I'm showing you here. I know I'm not explaining this right, and I'm sorry. When you put these together, you want the wrong side to the wrong side. Then you're going to fold this like a fan. Starting in the middle, you're just going to fold it down, then up, and then down again. You're going to do that on both sides. Once you get that done, take a piece of jute or a scrap piece of fabric and tie it off in the middle. Next, you're going to take that 3-inch wide piece, fold it into kind of thirds, hot glue it into place, and we're going to wrap that around the center of the bow. That's going to be your faux bow knot. For the tails, we're going to take one of those pieces, find the center, and then fold it down on each other, kind of like I'm showing you here. Once again, I really don't know how to explain this. You're going to do the same with the other one, but make sure that you have 2 long pieces together, because when you fold this in half and you're making that V at the top of the tail, it's going to take up some of the length. Next, we're just taking some of the leftover bamboo sprigs that fell out when we were fluffing the wreath. Just stick them up underneath the knot on your bow, hot glue them into place. We're going to add a sprig of blueberries and some leaves to the center. We're almost making a mini spray for underneath the bow. This third wreath is kind of my version of a patriotic wreath. I am calling it red, white, and blueberries. Cut off a couple pieces of the white florals, put it right down in the middle of the blueberries, and guess what? We are done with wreath number 3. I told you it was easy. Let me know in the comments section below what you think about these 3 wreaths. Which one is your favorite? And if you were going to make one for your home, which one would you make? Hit that subscribe button, click that bell, and get notified about all future videos and projects. And until next time, have a magical day.